Hello guys, welcome. So today we are going to be talking about light and shadow, but more focus on how I light um, my figures, my characters. And normally I'll just go through some the same way characters, normal way of lighting the figures. We have talked about light and shadow before, but when I was studying the works of JC Leyendecker and Jesse Leyendecker, John Azaro. I noticed, especially with Jesse Leyendecker, the way he lights his figure, he pay attention to his own style because his style is unique, it's different, especially with the forms. So he doesn't just light the figure the way everybody light their figure. He plays with the lights with respect to the way he styles the form. So, and looking at the works of John Azaro, you realize that lighting can have a style. You can have your own style of lighting the figure, and all these things take into account how I light my own figures or characters. So I have some of my drawings here, some of my old art, some are not that long ago, and I will show you some of my approach. Now, for example, this is a painting I made. So no, you can see the way the light is strong, is warm, and then at the back you can see how cool it is. But still, you can see in this painting you have warm. The warmth is coming from this part. You have warm and cool fighting each other, and that makes the painting pop. You can see the rim light at this point, how it's blue and it's popping the image. One thing about the rim light, it helps the figure, the character pop out of the background, make it really stand out. Our last video we talk about contrast. It's still playing or keying into those important properties that help to clarify objects or figures in a painting. So take note of that. So when I paint, I always start with the shadow. First thing, I fill all the drawing with the necessary local color. Let me quickly get this done. So the hair, and this is the way I paint everything. I use this lasso tool to fill the colors. And I use a lot of broken lines, so I can't use use the fill tool for most of the stuff I do. You can see most of the lines are open. It's something I enjoy doing. It's not a problem for me. I actually like to see those broken lines. I want the eyes of the audience to fill in the gap themselves. Well, adding the fill, the solid color actually helps with that also. So we are done. Let's Get a nice color for the shirt. So when I'm done with the local color, the first thing I do is to create a multiply layer, and take note of warm and cool colors. They always help. If you look at my painting here, I talked about warm and cool. This is another old painting I created, a commission. You can see how the water is warm. You can see the light is pushing from this point. But take note, you have to also consider what's in your scene. If you want something cool, like the portrait I showed earlier, this is the portrait of the president of Nigeria. Actually, the portrait I showed earlier, it's easy to come up with the blue light at the back because it's a close-up. For something like this, yes, you can still come up with the cool color, but you have to be careful with it not to mess things up, because they're outside and the colors we are seeing at the back are not cool colors, not that cool. It's still the tree. So the way I push the painting, I was also considering that. So you don't just create anything out of the blue. Yes, I could have added other things to make the colors blue, but it's not all the time. You can't do that all the time. Sometimes the scene calls for something different. So you can see everything in this image is warm, um, and the light is pushing through all the image. You can see the background, the light is still pushing inside, but still, and the back of the character, I'm talking about this point now, this point, back of the character will be a little bit hot, not cool. And this is because of the environment you find yourself. So take note of that. We can play with the colors, but it doesn't mean that it's standard. I've talked about this all the time. These are tools, no rules. Doesn't mean that everything you do you must follow these rules. If not, your painting is dead. Not all the time. You can see this. Not there's nothing cool in the image there. There's shadow. Yes, if you look closer, you see that there's shadow here. The shadows are there. Look at the shadows, but they are not cool. It's actually one because they're outside. You can see the water too is, it looks hot. Even from the rim light, there's a reflection I added here. At this point, it's warm. It's still the light flowing in, the sun shining, and everything is bright, is popping. So take note of that. Though we are talking about dynamic light or light and shadow, you still take function over form. Function over form. So make sure you might be going for something that is fantasy, then that is understandable. But if you are trying to do something organic or something real, take note of this important idea. So how do I approach it? First, I get my multiply layer. So let's say I come with the cool. I like to come with something at this point. Sometimes I use this also, but let's use this. And let's say our light is coming from this point. So then I start feeling the form. This is my approach. There is nothing hidden. It's not that that mysterious. It's something that anyone can do. I start feeling the corners. So if you see the drawing as form 3D, so you start feeling all the form that faces away from the light. You can see how I'm pushing them, and this is the way I approach my painting, my style, the stuff you see on the shots. This is the way I approach it. I like to add like a break here, so it feels like the light is dropping on the ear. Might not be reachable here, but I normally do it for most of my painting to create a cool effect. So all this part of the image will be in shadow. You can see I'm covering them. All this part will be in shadow also. This will be in shadow, and that is it. Now, a little tip on why I approach it like this. Some people, when they are working on the shadow, they just pick a black color and just either they leave it on multiply, or they reduce the opacity of the color, and then they paint. But when you look at the shadow here, you can see there's a nice color popping out. The color we picked, remember, this is the color we are using. You can see how it's oozing that color out, and that can help to create feel light for us. Feel light, if you know about lighting, the direct light that hits a figure bounces and creates feel light, and we are getting that just from adding one color in the multiply layer. So take note of that. That is a nice tip, and that is the reason I do that. It creates a nice feel there. Sometimes I actually even put shadow around the eyes for effect. And then let's push this. You can see how it looks really cool. And slowly the image starts to pop. We are not focusing much on the background, but the rim lights I normally use, depends on what I put there. I make sure there is a background, something in the background that actually aids that light. This is an old painting also. You can see the shadow. The shadow in this painting also oozes those kind of color. The color I use here is green. You have to zoom in a little bit to actually see how it feels. You can see how it's pushing. Then the light is coming from the top. The character is under water. So if you come down, you can see the rim light I added is really warm. So I took care of that, and you might not notice this, but when you start zooming in, or if you look at the image, you can see that this part of the image, there's a push, but it's subtle, of that light, that pink light rather. There's a push, and it's in purple color. So if you're not careful, you miss it. So take note of these things. If you look at the bubbles, you can see the same lights are there. this is exactly the way I approach my painting. So the next thing I do, I create another layer, and this will be in overlay, and I push for a rim light. Now depends on what you have. Since the light I picked for the multiply layer, the shadow, is cool, I can still come in with a cool light, but since it's coming on top of a multiply, it always pops. You can see how it's pushing out. So I can come in with something like this. I can come in with something stronger. It all depends on you. I always like to come in with something that pops, and then I start going over the light and filling the form. Those I think will pop. I start adding the rim light. I add it also to the nose. I'll add it to the eyes, and this is the way I approach it to the mouth, jaws, side of the neck. You can see how it's already starting to push the image out, and this is the way I actually approach painting my figures. We did not add color of the eyes. Let's just pick something cool. You can see how I'm adding this, and that already pops the image out. Then after adding this, I come in with another overlay layer, and this overlay layer will be warm. So let's honor what we talked about: cool, shadow, warm. Source of light, warm direct light, warm light rather. You can see I'm adding it, and this makes your character pop, makes it shine, creates cool effects for your character. You can go like this. Normally play with the lights like that. And see how the same character now looks really cool, and it has a lot to do with the light. I can come in with my soft airbrush and reduce the light and come in again. Do this for effect, and there you have it. You can see how the character looks really cool even without the solid colors. See how it still pops. So that is my approach to lighting the figure. There are a lot of things I also do in the background to make it pop. This is another image I created. It's an old painting. You can see the color of the character the same. Start with the same solid color, general solid color for everything, and then the way I approach using the multiply, the overlay makes the difference. So take note of that. This is something else, another one I created, Dobby. You can see the purple shadow, pink shadow rather. It's a little bit purplish. You can see how it oozes out, create that feel light we'll talk about, but using shadow. Field light is supposed to reflect, have more of the color of the direct light, but using multiply, it pops and creates something unique, and it's actually the color will pick actually creates a nice field light, but using shadow. So take note of that. It's something that is really cool. So you can use it in your painting, and I hope it helps you as it has helped me. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something in this one, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.